Welcome back, students. Today we will take up the topic verbs. What are verbs? Well, verbs are words that indicate action or state of being. A sentence does not make complete sense without a verb. Verbs are of two types, action verbs and auxiliary verbs. The verbs that make complete sense in a sentence and do not require helping verbs are called main verbs or action verbs. The verbs that are usually used in a sentence along with the main verbs are called auxiliary verbs. Auxiliary verbs are of two types, primary auxiliary verbs or forms of be, have and do, that is, was, am, are, were, been, have, has, had, do, did, does. And another type is modal auxiliary or modal verbs. Such verbs expresses abilities, possibilities, feelings, ideas and probabilities. Example, can, could, should, shall, will, would, dare to, need and etc. A verb used to express the mood or attitude of a speaker is called a modal. They are auxiliary verbs that express possibility, ability, certainty, suggestion, permission and so on. Also, modals are a type of auxiliary verbs as they cannot stand alone in a sentence. They are always followed by a main verb in a sentence. Here we have types of modal verbs which shows ability, permission, advice, obligation, possibility and there are many more which are given in the book which will do it later on. Here for the ability we have can and could. Look at the example. David can speak 3 languages. So here we are talking about the present ability that David can speak 3 languages. So he is capable of, that's his ability. Another one, he could speak fluent French when he was 5. So we are talking about past ability. When he was 5 years old, he could speak fluently. Second type, permission. Modal verbs which shows permission are can, could and may. Examples, can I sit in that chair please? That's informal permission. Could I open the window? Now could is usually used in past but could is also used for polite permission. May I borrow your dictionary? Again, may is a polite permission. Third one, advice, and the modals we use should. You should visit your dentist at least twice a year. Now that is an advice, that is just a suggestion. Second, you should try to lose weight. Again, a suggestion and advice. Fourth one, obligations. Obligations means that you are expected to do. And the modal verbs which we use for that are must and have to. I must memorize all of these rules about tenses. Now this is a compulsion sort of a thing where without this you will not be able to do anything further. Second, you have to take off your shoes before you get into the mosque. So that is again an obligation, that is again a compulsion. Possibility, might, may, could and can. Let's look at the sentence. It looks nice but it might be very expensive. So that is the probability. Richard may be coming to see us tomorrow. Again a possibility, probability. Let's take a few confusing auxiliary verbs, modals. So here the first one is may versus might. Where should we use may and where we should use might? Now when we talk about may and might, they both shows possibility, probability, but when we say we usually use may more than might. Now let's look at the first one, possibility. Used to express what is possible, factual or could be factual. Example, you may go home now, John. Now that is a probability that he can, totally his choice. But that is a possibility because once his work is done, that is possible, he can go. Might, used to express what is counterfactual, hypothetical or remotely possible. I might be a few minutes late. Now that is a probability which shows that the chances are less, but there is a possibility. Second one, asking for permission. When asking for permission, may is much more common than might. In daily use also, we usually use may rather than might. Example, may I go to movies tonight? For might I make a modest suggestion? We usually avoid using might. Whenever there is a permission, we usually say may. Avoid using might. Third one, giving permission. Example, thank you, you may go now. Now when you say give permission, you usually use may. We do not use might because we are giving permission. There is no less probability there that the person may stand there or he should leave. Next, requests and suggestions. When politely or formally making a request, asking for information or making a suggestion, might is regarded as preferable to may. Example, may we use your office for a few minutes? That is preferable. Now that is a polite way of asking. Example for might I borrow your pen? Though it is correct grammatically, but we should avoid using might for suggestions because we always be polite when we ask something. Last one, wish. If you want to express a wish or hope, then may is always the correct word to use. May I have the bill please? Now whenever we have a wish, may I have the bill please is always used. We use may. May you live long. Now that's again a wish. We never say might you live long. Now that is very impolite way because then the probability becomes very less. So for wish and permission we do not use might. For others might can be used, but try to avoid it. So whenever we have may and might, may shows more probability and might has less probability. Next we have modal verbs can and could. Now can is again the ability and in present tense. Could is the ability in the past tense. Let's see the examples. In the can, ability, I can speak 4 languages. Now we are talking about the ability of the present. Presently I can speak 4 languages. But if I say he could play football when he was a kid, that means when he was a child he could play. But present he may or he may not. That the situation is not clear. So we are talking about the ability when he was a child. Second one, possibility. Alcohol can cause cancer. Now that is a possibility that the chances are there. For could, a lot of crime could be prevented. Now again the possibility, but if the measures had been taken, this could have been prevented. Again in the past tense. Third one, permission. Can I use your book please? Now in a informal way we can ask, can I use your book please? But in informal, my suggestion would be try to avoid can. Whenever there is a permission, we usually use may. May I use your book please would be a better option. Permission for could I take your book please is also a polite way and is a correct way in daily usage. So we may use could I take your book please or may I take your book please, both would be correct usage. Fourth one, request. Can you make me coffee? Now that's an informal way, but can usually looks very harsh. So avoid using request in informal way and using can. Request, could you lend me this book is again a polite way. With could we can use please or without please also, but that is in usage, daily usage we should use could instead of can. Though grammatically it is correct, but avoid using can for request. Next one, offer. Can I help you? Now that offer is informal and is a correct usage. Suggestion. I could help you with English. Now that is a polite way of suggesting and is in daily usage is a correct way. Last one, cannot. You cannot or can't smoke here. That means you are not allowed to do that. Conditional of can. If you call me, I could find you some suggestions. Now that is conditionals. You'll be doing it in your next class. Next we have must versus have to. Now when we say must is the compulsion and have to is again a compulsion, but from the person's point of view. Let's see. For must, the speaker thinks it is necessary. That is the personal opinion. Written rules are the instructions. That is, we expect you to do. Your exams are near, you must study. And let's have a look at have to another person thinks it is necessary, not you. Some other people, they think it's necessary. External obligation, facts, not opinion. Let's have a look. The teacher is giving the students an obligation or instructions. So the example would be the teacher. You must complete the essay by Friday. Now that is the obligation or the instructions given by the teacher. But how does student take it? We have to complete the essay by Friday. Now that is your point of view, that it is an obligation or the instructions which has been given to you and you have to complete it. So we use had to instead of must in the past tense. I had to pay my speeding ticket yesterday. Have to is more common than must in questions. When do you have to finish the report? So whenever we have a fill up and we have given must and have to, depending upon the sentence, must is the obligation which is expected from you and have to is the necessity, that there is no other choice but you have to complete it. Should and ought to. When we say should, that is an advice and it's totally the person's choice whether they want to do it or not. But ought to is the obligation, social obligations, moral obligations, that is, it is compulsory. Should and ought to are basically the same in meaning, however usage varies, they differ. Ought to is typically used to describe moral obligations and duty, where should is typically used for general advice. Let's have a look. You ought to go to church every week. Now you are expected by society to go to church every week. We should study grammar more frequently. Now that is an advice or that is a suggestion that we should be doing it. Now that's totally your choice whether you want to do it or not. Third one, he should take a shower or bath after coming home from the factory. Now that is expected because after coming from the factory he might be dirty, but it's totally your choice whether you feel comfortable or not. Last one, she ought to take better care of her children. Now society expects you to take care of your children, your parents better. So that is an obligation from the society. Let's look at the common one, that is should and versus must. That is, when should we use should and when we should use must. Now for should, we use should to suggest something. It is advisable to. The modal should expresses opinion, one person's point of view, whereas must, we use must to express a stronger point of view. We need to, we have to, that is, it is not advisable. In fact, you don't have any choice and you have to do the work. Let's look at the examples here. We should protect our environment. It makes good sense. So that is advisable that we should take care of the environment, but it's totally up to person's choice. We must protect our environment or our resources will disappear. Now that is a condition. Now you don't have any choice. If you will not do it, our resources, they will deplete. So there is an obligation but not a strong one like ought to. Ought to and must, there is a slight difference. Must is an obligation that is you are required to do but not a social obligation, whereas ought to is a social obligation. Second example, we should select cars that are more fuel efficient. So that is totally your choice whether you want to choose that car or not, but that is advisable. The car industry must change engines that burn fossil fuels. That is it is a compulsion, because otherwise the fuels which are present as a natural resource in our environment, they will deplete. Third one, we should use reusable bags when shopping. Now that is advisable. Even government, they say try to bring the bag from your home. Do not use the plastic bags. That is advisable. But how many of us are following it? So that is advice from the government. For must, stores must give out recyclable plastic bags. So that is a condition which government, they have put on the stores. So that is a condition, that is expected, that is compulsion.